Aloha, this is Matt Darnell with ComTel.Cloud, like up in the sky, joined here by Greg Jackson. Hey Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
How was your Christmas?
Oh, Christmas was good. It was nice and quiet. Had some great food, good company. Spent some time with my family. It's good.
Glad to hear, glad to hear. So this is our weekly rundown, some stories we found in the tech world that we thought were interesting. We think you'll think they're interesting. All of these links that you see here are going to be down there in the description. Let's go ahead and get started. So this first one here, the government is telling politicians and officials to just ditch regular phone calls. And this is because Chinese hackers have infiltrated the U.S. telephone network. And who's CISA again? That did the advising, Greg?
Yeah, they're the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency.
That's big deal. That is big deal. So they're telling people don't use the regular telephone network. They want you to use WhatsApp. They want you to do something that's encrypted end to end, and it's a lot easier for them to listen in if they have that. Um, but yeah, that's really scary to the point that they're telling people don't use a regular phone call because when people do so much banking over the phone and so much
Yep.
financial transactions and have that there, but when you think about it, I remember analog cell phones, you could just have like a $40 receiver and actually listen in on calls. Digital phones, you can't just sniff it there through the air, but there's really no encryption. As soon as it goes from the mobile phone to the cell tower and then jumps on the regular, PSTN, the regular phone network, it's not encrypted at all. So I think the carriers are going to need to do something so that we do have that end-to-end encryption, and it can't use the public switch network. There's no capacity for that encryption decryption on both ends because once it goes from one carrier to another carrier, getting them to agree on encryption methods and the keys and have that is a problem.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I've got a couple military friends that were using different voice over IP apps while they were stationed abroad, and the encryption was helping them have phone calls where back when I was in the military, getting a phone call was a lot harder. Now it's a lot easier.
Absolutely. All right, so this is AARP mode for Chat GPT. What you can do now is call from any landline 1-800 Chat GPT. And also you can do that now from WhatsApp. So I went ahead and tried this when I first saw that. I called from a cell phone, and the voice quality was very bad. There's an MOS score, a mean opinion score, that rates a phone call from one is completely unintelligible, and five is impossibly perfect. Four is business quality. This was 1.2. It was,
Wow.
I could tell there were words there. I could hear the pauses, but it was really bad. So, so I hung up. I called back again, and it was a much, near 3.8, kind of more toward the four scale. Still not what I would consider business quality. There's probably a lot of people hammering the system right then, and they were getting overwhelmed. But I asked it some questions. The speech recognition was just as good as what you have on the Chat GPT app. Do you have the Chat GPT app on your phone?
I do not. I use Copilot, but I'm
Okay.
thinking about changing over.
Yeah, it's so I asked it some questions, flight times, flight arrivals, how many dollars do I need to spend for 1,000 yen? Other kind of questions that I think a senior citizen, might want to know. What's the weather going to be like tomorrow? Is it going to rain? So rather than having to go to their computer, going to a mobile app to get that kind of stuff, they're able just to call this number from a landline, at an old, you could be a rotary phone, right? And have that. So I thought that was really neat. And you get 15 minutes free per day. I thought that was pretty awesome. So
Interesting.
so this is one that I think is going to have waves rippling throughout the tech industry. That the government, kind of like the TikTok ban, is talking about maybe banning TP-Link routers. I think they make switches too, but this says here they have roughly 65% of the US market. I kind of fact checked that around, and everybody said over 50%
Wow.
of used TP-Link. I think it's going down because a lot of people now just use the router that comes with their service. Now when you get a cable modem or fiber, there's a NAT router, built right into the device, and that's definitely the easy way to go ahead and do that. But yeah, this is huge because they're saying that the government is saying that TP-Link is not doing to keep enough to keep the Chinese hackers out. I don't know if they mean like I don't know if you remember, but at one point Supermicro, somebody was got into the factory and was embedding those chips
Yeah.
in there in
Yeah.
the
That changed the firmware was really, yeah, it was a big deal.
yeah.
Yep.
So I think this is more just there are all these devices at this level use open source software. It's all open
Yeah.
source, the SSL, there's VPN, and I'm not sure what they could do more. Again, not knowing the details there, but like this TP-Link router there, I have installed more than one of those in my life, and they're probably still out there, and they're working.
Yeah. You remember the DJI? I mean, it wasn't China, but it was Korea. I think it's amazing how many countries would love to do something cheap for us and then embed something not so nice. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's a long con. They're
Yep.
not here for that. So, yeah, that would be huge. Okay, this is something I thought I was wondering why. There are things that happen that make you wonder why it didn't happen sooner. Like to me, why did it take so long for them to invent the printing press? People have been stamping their stamp and wax for so long. How did someone not figure out, well, maybe if we put them all in a row and put ink on it and then, you know, put it down on the paper, it could do anyway, long time. And that should have been invented sooner. So this digital license plate, I'm assuming it's OLED, but yeah, so really neat that it's just a picture. It's got to be OLED because, or what do Kindles use? That, once the screen is drawn, you don't have to draw it again. It's not like a
Oh,
regular panel that you need electricity. On a Kindle, once the screen's there, it's almost like an Etch-a-Sketch.
that's
Once
what I
you
was just
have,
gonna say.
yeah,
It was an Etch-a-Sketch.
once you have it there. So that might
Something
not.
called yeah. I think they use OLED technology, but something called e screens or
It
something.
could be
Yeah.
if I only had time to ask ChatGPT. But here with this, it's really neat how when you upgrade your registration, instead of that little sticker you get in the mail, this just a little picture upgrades there. It goes from
You
2023
would
to
think
20.
every state would want to do this. Yeah.
Imagine how much the cost savings. And now I'm
Yeah.
sure integrating it with I mean, the state of Hawaii, we still, you know, are paper based and on a lot of things, and to get it electronic would really
What would the
be.
guys do in prison then? I mean, what would you have them do?
Let them make this. This is a job skill they could that they're able to do. But
I
and
get
this
it.
little where it says revive your Rive down there, I mean you can change that. I'm sure they have software that doesn't let you do foul language. But anyway, I thought that was really neat, these electronic license plates. All right, so this I think are really neat in that these cables are USB cables. It's USB 2.0. And again, I don't know what that means relative to 3.0 or 3.1 or XYZ. Um, More is better, but 240 watts is a lot of power. But see how it can articulate this way and then spin this way as well. And wow, that is so cool. I can't tell you how many times,
I see a line there. Does it detach too? Or is it just,
I don't think so.
oh,
I
that's
don't know.
interesting.
Maybe that little button there. You can put something in there. But yeah,
Hmm.
so I thought that was a neat cable. Then the same company is using these foot pedals that you can use to type. And to me, what a totally underused part of your body that you can use to type. Because there's oh, you couldn't do them all at the same time, but there's a couple combinations that you can do. Well, if you have 3 feet. You could press them all at the same time, or maybe put them in the middle. But yeah, the left one is cut, the right one is paste. The middle one, could be some macro you have for a Word document you use.
Definitely one would be
Um,
spacebar for me.
Space,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, get that thumb there or numlock, it's something like that. And what a great. So it's not like a race car game where you could put it down, lift it back up. But that I thought that was neat. And the last one here, these are 10 gigabit cables. I've always thought
Wow.
MagSafe was the coolest thing ever on a Mac, that one, a power plug. But these are now Ethernet, and you know, like you mentioned a little earlier, Jackson, you wouldn't want your customers to have it because they're going to be pulling them out and now things are broken. But how cool is that? I've definitely,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, right after this, I'm going to be ordering mine. I'll let you know when they come in. So
Yeah. Try
all
on
all
PoE too. I'd
I,
wonder
I
if
I
that would
will.
work. Yeah.
What's fire's worst thing that could happen? Okay, so France is linking its first nuclear reactor since 2020 1999, 25 years. And
Wow.
I don't, I mean, nuclear has such a bad reputation. I mean, Chernobyl didn't help. We had I don't
Japan,
remember.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
With this, I mean, that wasn't the reactor's fault. That was the tsunami, and it wasn't built. I guess they weren't thinking of that when that tsunami hit. I don't know why you put it right by the coast. It's probably by the coast to get the cooling water to cool
Cooling,
off.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, and we had in the United States we had the 3 Mile Island, and of course you have the horrible um, spent nuclear fuel afterward that we have to deal with. But
Yeah.
I think with these batteries, my goodness, what are we going to do with the millions of batteries that are just going to sit there and leak and get into there? So, I mean, do you think we're going to have neighborhood reactors? I mean, with the terrorism aspect, with the cleanup, with the radiation. I mean, what do you think is the future for nuclear?
I mean, I've been saying for decades now that I'm expecting nuclear to be shrunk down to cars. I think there's going to be something, I think we're going to be able to control it. It's going to be, I think, widely available for a lot of us over time. So yeah, it would make sense that, how the neighborhoods deliver electricity or data. I would expect some form of nuclear to do something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, we're only 3 years away from fission, right? And that's been the last 50 years. It's
Yeah.
right around the corner. If we get fission down, absolutely. When you have the output as water for there. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
nuclear is the thing. All right. So here, bye cellular. We know that we talked about last week actually that with Starlink satellites, you're going to be able to make phone calls and get data from an unmodified LTE phone. Here is Apple investing billions in this Globestar, SpaceX kind of competitor. And here they're talking about $1.5 billion dollars. And I
Mm.
don't know, I mean, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, they have so much money invested in cell towers everywhere that they're, I'm sure, paying off. Now, I think the cell towers are owned by someone else and they lease space, which is probably very smart of the cell tower people, to have that at the time, but 20 years from now, I don't think I'll need a cell tower unless even places where I'm going through a long tunnel, I want to have coverage. There'll just be a dish to receive the satellite signal and shoot it through
Yeah.
the tunnel, if I want to go ahead and have that. All these, spots where there's no cell coverage because you're in the mountains and because that's line of sight, right? It can go around corners and over things a little bit, but I mean, God, when you're coming down from what well, low Earth orbit is, I think, what 125 miles, something like that. There's no mountains, to worry about. You got to pretty much be in a cave to not have cell coverage. So, I think Tesla is going to be this the number one cell provider of service. They won't make the handsets, but the service is going to be them.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think coverage is going to be a thing of the past. I think it's going to happen very quickly. And with AI, I think it's going to help a lot.
And planet-wide data, I mean, all the third world countries, not going to be an issue with having to roll out expensive landline based things, line of sight. All
Build
right.
outs are
Well,
very expensive. Yeah.
that's, yeah, it's with all you have to do with the permitting, it's probably cheaper and faster to get a satellite up. So, look, again, thank you very much for everyone joining us here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you have any comments on these. Or, I mean, we're never wrong, but if you think we're wrong, we're happy to tell you why you're wrong and we're right. Leave that down there in the comments. And all these links down there right in the description. So, Jackson, thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Aloha.
Aloha.